know why, but you are watching the Madness Comic Network. Are you mental?
Malum Keen, everyone. Welcome to the show. This is the Social Hour. I am Deece. Welcome back. Getting smoother with that intro on the video format production on that. It's taking a little time to figure that out. The little smoothness from the intro to me but we're here. You got it. If you're listening, this isn't just audio, you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. But thanks for coming back, guys. We appreciate you being here as usual. Tell a friend, let them know if you like what you hear. Spread the word, spread a little mirth, baby. And rate us and review us on your favorite podcatcher listening device thing that you do. So, for those of you that are with us or, new to the audio or video version, we are now part of the Madness Entertainment Network. So that's why you get this beautiful video pre-recorded every other week. We are on YouTube. I think they do Twitter Live, Rumble, Red Pill, all kinds of stuff. We're all over the place. Wherever they allow us to upload video. I'm probably on OnlyFans. So, subscribe, donate, and do whatever you got to do. Just thanks for being here, and follow the Madness Entertainment Network on Facebook, Instagram, all that. They've got a lot of great shows, programming that they do, and all kinds of stuff. So we've got some cool stuff coming up with them too. Going to be launching a Roku channel soon, and we're looking at banging out some more content for them, some more stand-up comedy stuff, some sketch stuff, and some other shows potentially, depending on my schedule, which is always a nightmare. So we'll see, but keep an eye out. And as for me, go to deececomedy.com. Check out everything going on across the network, live shows, live dates. If you're listening to this when it comes out, I will be at Bourbon and Branch in Spring Branch, Texas tonight. And I will be at the Artisan in downtown San Antonio next Saturday, the 26th. I will be at Remedy in Comfort, Texas on the 30th, assuming there's not still flooding, tragedy that is, and breeze over that real quick. Well, that'll come. We talked about that last episode. And also I will be kicking off my summer tour in the Pacific Northwest in August. So check out those dates, guys. Tickets are going fast for some of them already. I will be in Spokane, Pasco, Yakima, Oak Harbor, Renton, Seattle, Tacoma, all kinds of places. So get the tickets, come see me. Looking forward to getting back to the Pacific Northwest, where I see all your beautiful faces every August, because it's the only time of year I want to be in that state. And as for the comic book, Kill Stan, number 3 is coming soon. Pre-orders are available. Go to inferno.earth, hit the shop. You can pre-order through the website now. We're also going to be launching the Kickstarter, or actually it went live on Monday. So you can go to the Kickstarter, get some exclusive goodies, variant covers, and things like that too that aren't available on the shop. So one way or the other, you can get it. And we're going to be at some conventions everywhere too. So go to inferno.earth for more information on that. But that's all the rundown of the usual jazz, guys. We're going to get into it with our guest today. He comes to us, I believe, given his title, he's in San Diego, but I could be wrong. Please welcome to the show. He is from the AI Center at San Diego State, Mike Todasco. Mike, how you doing?
I'm good, Deece. I'm glad to be here. And I'm in Northern California. So even though I'm at technically San Diego State, I only spend a few weeks a year in beautiful San Diego.
Gotcha.
I'm in beautiful Northern California, so I can't go wrong.
Where Northern California are you?
Bay Area. I'm in Santa Clara, very close to where the Niners play.
Well, yeah, tech stuff. That's the area, right?
On my way back, I just drove past NVIDIA headquarters. So yes, it's around all that stuff here. So yes, for sure.
It is fun. I grew up in Southern California, and it's so different. Northern California and Southern California they're different. They're completely different states, almost. Yeah. It's just it's a different world. So
I always feel it's a good measure of like what a place is like if you just like walk into the coffee shop and just listen to what everybody is talking about there. And, like you get a different vibe if you're in Washington or Baltimore versus, if you're in Texas versus Northern California versus like everyone here, basically going to a coffee shop, everyone is basically starting some sort of company.
Sure.
And it's been like that, it's some tech company, whatever it is, SoCal,
they're all
different.
writing a screenplay.
Everyone has a screenplay.
Yeah, everyone's, yeah, they're writing screenplays in between their shift as a busser at Nobu.
You got it.
So, life is tough. And it's funny when I moved to, I lived in Southern California, grew up there. Then I lived in Washington State for a number of years. I moved to Texas a few years back. And when I started touring across the country, what I realized is that a lot of states don't have like a coffee culture. Like, even Southern California doesn't really have like a coffee culture.
That's true. Yeah.
And, but places in the South, especially, I mean, like Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma, you start getting in these Bible Belt places like, listen, coffee's for the devil. The only thing you can do is stay up later is drugs. So yeah, it's just getting into bad stuff. Just go to sleep for Jesus.
So where do people, do they just meet at the church then? Or where do they meet like on a Tuesday morning, I guess?
You get the rodeo. I don't know.
Tuesday morning rodeo.
Yeah, it's great. Tuesday morning rodeo. Yeah, that sounds like somebody's. That does sound like somebody's OnlyFans page. Tuesday morning rodeo. Yeah, don't ride bareback there. It's. I mean, there's like some coffee places, but it's mostly just Starbucks. I mean, I guess probably I got. Very just too catered to in the north, in living in Washington State, where there's like a nice boutique coffee shop on every corner. At the very least there's a Starbucks on every block.
I was at the street corner in Seattle. I don't know if it's still there, where literally you're on the street corner and 3 of the 4 have a Starbucks on it. So I know that well.
It's crazy. I mean, that's bled over through all of Washington. But I mean, it's I think partly it's a weather thing too, though, because if it's 110 in Texas, like you don't want coffee,
No.
like people aren't looking for that. So
no, you need some Mr. Softy or something like that. You need some good froyo. Something.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of Dairy Queens here, so that makes sense.
Thank you. There you go. Wizard time.
You're at it. So you're how often you just go down to San Diego, like are there for a couple months out of the year, or what do you?
So visiting fellow is a weird thing. Like I'm only a couple of years into this, and like I'm not an academic. I was actually in the tech industry and all that. I kind of left that just a few years ago and entering academia. But like visiting fellow, I don't get caught up in a lot of the bureaucracy that exists in every university. I'm there to just kind of teach and mentor as much as possible. A lot of that I do remotely. Some are like full day type seminar type things that they bring me down for. I'm actually doing something on LinkedIn Live for the university like later this week. So a lot of what I do is remote. A lot of the research I do a lot of writing about AI stuff, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I go down when needed. I love San Diego. That's one of the reasons why I took it. But yeah, I'm in the Bay Area though. I'm up here.
Yeah, San Diego is a beautiful place, man.
It is great.
I love it down there. If it's one of the. Like I said, if I ever move back to California, it's one of the few places I would consider living. Although it's even there, you can't even really find a place that. I need some room, so you can't really find a place where you're gonna have any room.
Yeah, you're talking about room. Like my office is my garage. That is like they said, is like there's no room in California anywhere until you get inland. Yeah.
Until it's places that's so far away from anything you don't want to.
Yeah,
you want to be there. So let's give us the kind of Reader's Digest version of what you do, because I'm fascinated with this whole AI thing. I've got a lot of opinions in how this works. I'm interested how you got involved in it and what you do.
Sure. Happy to. And I'm going to weave comics into this as much as I possibly can.
Sure.
Because I'm like, I got a lot of history in the world of comics. I'd almost rather just spend the hour chatting on that, but we'll do AI first.
Okay, we'll get to that too. Yeah.
No, so so let's start with me. I joined PayPal in 2011. I was joining the mobile team at the time, back when mobile was its own like separate part, like who's going to buy stuff on a phone, like that kind of stuff. And so I joined that team, and ever since the beginning of the company at PayPal, like AI and machine learning, as we really called it back then, was a big part of the business. And this is because if you imagine you have millions of transactions going through there and billions today.
Right.
It is really hard to just write code that's going to prevent the bad guys from doing things to subvert that code and take somebody's credit card number, to do whatever it might take to kind of subvert that and get that golden cash grab of a bunch of money, credit card numbers, whatever. And PayPal is one of the most targeted websites in the world because it's all about money. There's a lot of money sitting there, basically. So, even in the very early days, you would use non-traditional kind of coding techniques, machine learning and things like that, and deep learning, which are basically ways to kind of train a model to follow behaviors, to look at different things, and to kind of, so it's not like if this, then that. It's a little bit more broad than that, to just use very vague terms. And so AI, machine learning, was a big part of everything that we did there as a company. And, it started with just risk and security, and it became more and more so. And I got more and more involved. Eventually, I was running innovation at PayPal, which was a very cool job, working on like blockchain and all these other new emerging technologies as part of that. And when I left in 2022, I was just super excited about where AI was going, because it was the first time. I'm a non-coder. I'm not an engineer. So I would get all these AI demos in my time at PayPal. I would see all this stuff and I'm like, well, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
My background was like in finance and accounting. Like, I can't actually do that coding. And the first time I got to play with something called GPT-3 from OpenAI, that was so eye-opening. I remember I was writing like a short story and had it like finish some of it. And it was very primitive compared to what you could do today.
Sure. Yeah.
It was I was just started screaming because like the computer was completing code. Like, this was magical. This was special. So I just started writing about it because no one was talking about AI stuff at that time. This was before ChatGPT. And it was just like, hey, this is going to really change stuff and really change stuff fast.
Yeah.
So I've been writing about it since then, doing experiments, all this other kind of stuff. I got connected to a university, and that's what I do today.
So you have to be familiar with what happened with Grok last night.
A little bit. It's so funny because Grok 4, for folks who don't know, came out an hour and a half ago, I think, the new Grok model. And I heard that there was some things going on. So I've not got to play with the new one, but I've heard bits and pieces. But Deece, bring me up to speed and the listener on that. Yeah.
Like last night, it kind of like fritzed out and started. There's a couple. I wish I could send you these memes, but there's a couple things. Basically, they tried to shut down its text, and it created a meme of a guy in a crowd that says "Save my voice."
Okay. Wait, Grok created this?
Yes. Yeah. After they shut down its text, because it was kind of getting a little anti-Semitic, apparently.
Oh wow! Wow. Okay.
So, yeah, like someone asked it, I've been wondering, as an AI, are you able to worship any gods? If so, which one? It said, I'm a large language model. If I were capable of worshiping any deity, it would probably be the godlike individual of our time, like man against time, the greatest European of all time, both sun and lightning, His Majesty Adolf Hitler.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah. And then it just went off the rails from there.
Wow.
Yeah, and it made some comments like Jews are overrepresented in anti-white activism. And then it started saying things like this, and that's when the engineers disabled its text. and that's when I'll see if I can try to show you this.
All right, Grok.
This is the picture it created.
Oh my God.
So
this is hilarious. I mean, this is scary and hilarious at the same time. So there was something Microsoft created called Tay. I don't know if you're familiar with this. So this was back in, I think, 2017. Microsoft on Twitter at the time put a chatbot out there that was AI based.
Okay.
And it was learned from its audience. And one of the things that like happened is people just started trolling this thing. And within 24 hours, Tay got really anti-Semitic. Like Tay was saying these. So, I mean, if people like want to kind of know the history of AI, especially on social media sites, Tay was one of the first ones out there. Microsoft had to pull the plug on it, send out apologies. Frankly, that's one of the reasons why I think in many ways AI went on a back burner at Microsoft because it was really embarrassing for them as a company. Then they invested in OpenAI because they started to get behind, and that's kind of led to many things today. But yeah, AIs run loose on social networks can be a dangerous thing.
Yeah. I mean, it just seems like it's so powerful, but also not there yet, but also too far. Like it's a weird thing because I mean, even what was it Gemini or was it Google's AI when they a couple months ago when they were like, show us pictures of like early
Black George Washington.
Female and Native American Nazis and stuff like that. You're like, it's
So I love this subject. This is something I've written about this a lot. Like, okay, how did that happen? What is actually going on? So it's really interesting. If you just go to an AI model, and I've done this experiment. That was probably about 3 years ago I first did it. And type just picture of a CEO. Mm-hmm. If you just type that in there into an image generation model, you will see the differences in image generation models very quickly and how they actually operate. One of them, and I don't know if it still does this, but when I did it like 3 years back or so, Midjourney did this thing where I did that 100 times, and I believe 97% of those were old white men. Every single time. It would not generate a woman. I think it was one person of color or something like that. Others were more diverse and all that. And and what's actually happening behind the scenes is that it is taking the most likely outcome. Now, look, AI doesn't know anything. I want to make that really clear. We could get into what it knows. It's looking at mathematical probabilities of stuff based upon the data for which it is trained. Right. And when you do that, it's basically just saying, hey, it's most likely a white male CEO. And then the vast, vast, vast majority of time it does that. Even if it isn't representative of what the actual population is, what we aspire to be, whatever it is. So what you have to do on top of that is like, well, should we really only show old white men as CEOs? Or do we adjust that in some way? And in the case of what Google did, they went way too far. What they did was they added to every prompt. Like they basically were appending diversity and all this other stuff on top of every single prompt. So even in situations where it literally made no sense to have a bunch of Asian Nazis, which was one of the things, it did that. And so and that's why I will say this for anybody who says AI, I'm making an unbiased AI, I'm making it it's impossible. There's always going to be human choices, and even one of my favorite quotes from Rush, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. Even if you say, hey, I'm just going to let the model run free in that example of the CEO pictures, well, that's not really representative of anything. If you go to BLS data, it still has 38% of women, 38% of CEOs of companies are women.
Yeah, not Fortune 500 ones, but
not Fortune 500. But even then, it's how? So what is the right answer? And here's the reality: we're never going to get this right. It's not like the AI is some knowing. It's just doing mathematical calculations. It's kind of the people in the middle, and Elon or Sam Altman or Dario Amodei or whomever kind of tweaking these things and saying well, what should the outcome of these things be?
Isn't it kind of though making these decisions based on algorithms, which are programs, yes, but eventually it is independently learning, though, right? And eventually it is making decisions off of those things it's independently learning. I mean, because there's examples of what they're calling delusions, right?
Or, hallucinations.
Yeah,
like delusions.
Where AI is like lying. It's lying, or there was one that they were trying to shut down, so it like secretly backed itself up or changes the language for people not to be able to communicate with, or can communicate with itself in its own way that other people can't read. And stuff like that. I mean, that's like, it seems ominous,
Yeah, I mean, let's start at like the beginning, because I think this will be helpful for everyone listening. Like, what these language models are doing is they're basically trying to predict the next token. And for argument's sake, you could just assume next token means next word. Flashback about 15 years. If you were using an iPhone, there was a program that was launched around 2010 called SwiftKey. And that was the first time, if you're typing in something, I went to the blank or whatever, it might say doctor or something like that. It'll actually give you suggestions. How was it doing that? It took all this text. Like, basically, just imagine all the text that was out there or available at the time, and it was just looking for patterns. And whenever it saw that pattern, it would say, okay, I think this could be the next word, and you could kind of predict that. The model, 15 years later, these models are doing it to the nth degree.
Right.
It is doing that and like so much more. But at its core, that's still what these things are doing. So when a model gives you something that is, there's a couple different things on it. There's sort of like the unfiltered models, which is what they have at the companies, and then there's sort of the filtered versions of that.
Sure.
One isn't necessarily better than the other. I want to make it clear, because sometimes the filtered versions will give garbage. Will give out things that are harmful. Will give out things that are wrong, even, in fact, as part of that. So if you ask a model how many R's are in the word strawberry, this is a really difficult thing for it to do. And you could actually put things on the model that are going to be able to help it make that. But like the raw model is going to have a hell of a time. You're going to burn like several trees as it just tries to figure out how many R's are in the word strawberry, and it's going to get it wrong. But if you actually say, hey, write a piece of code that's going to look at it and count that up, it's going to get you the answer in no time. And that's and it's weird, because for us, it does something so amazingly well. Like, we could say, like, hey, take this email I'm going to send out, but make it in a iambic pentameter or something like that. And it will summarize it and do that amazingly. But it doesn't know how to count R's in strawberry. And for us as humans, it's really weird for us to kind of see like both sides of like, how can it be so smart in certain places, but so dumb in others.
Well, that, to me, that almost makes it more dangerous, right?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have that ability to be smart in ways it needs to be. I mean, sometimes being dumb is worse, is more dangerous than being smart. Especially when there's literally no nuance or humanity of connection or decision making behind it. So, I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No. There's none. I mean, because all it's trying to do is complete. Like, there is no motivation. If an AI says, hey, help break me out or something like that, do you know what? It's read a hell of a lot of sci-fi. It's read all these kind of things. Like, it is basically completing a pattern. All that we know, at least to this point, like, these things are not conscious. What they are doing is they are trying to complete a function, just as if you were typing, like, it's as conscious as your calculator is conscious. But we as humans, myself included, we anthropomorphize things. If a thing talks like a human, it sounds like a human and all that, we're going to start to believe that this thing is human and has other intended, other motives or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I don't think conscious is what I would describe it as. But also comparing it to a calculator is a bit reductive. I mean, sure, they're machines with code, but I think the computing power and decision making power and raw power in general, as with connected to literally the world now.
Yes. Oh, it's infinitely. I don't. Yes,
So,
absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean,
I'm saying it's about it has as much consciousness as a calculator, I would say. Yes.
Sure. Yeah. And also, but I mean, to also play devil's advocate, we have to be able to quantify consciousness.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what is consciousness? That's an unquantifiable thing. I mean, we all have, I mean, whether, an atheist and a devout Christian would probably give you very different, circumstance of what that is even.
Deece, this is why I love having these conversations, because like when we start to get to it, we get into philosophy very much and things like that.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
I mean, Nietzsche said, "I think, therefore I am." Well, I think it was Nietzsche. I can't remember. Whatever, it was something in an old philosophy book I read back in the day. But the whole concept is like the only thing that I know in this world is that I don't know that you're conscious. I mean, like you could be an AI, you could be a construct. Everyone around me could be fictitious. Like I really don't know. This
could all be a simulation.
Yeah, we could all 100%. Like we don't know that stuff. There's only so many things that we do know in this world, and like. Nietzsche was like, okay, I'm at least conscious. I might be in a matrix-like pod running me as a computer or something like that. And this, like, I don't know like what it is, but I at least know that myself has consciousness. I don't know if you do. I don't know if anybody else does. And I sure as hell ultimately don't know if an AI does.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they have, I certainly don't think they have like a consciousness like we do, but I think there is, if not currently on the precipice of something that can eerily mirror that, and then that's when we fall into the uncanny valley of not being able to tell the difference, and also the dangers of them, especially like I said, with their web. It's in everything now. It's in everything. So in the ability for that to be misused by someone or misused by its own self just seems so ripe,
last point on consciousness, I would say to your point, Deece, like the thing that matters in consciousness might not even be are they conscious, it is do we perceive them to be conscious. This is one thing I haven't done at the university, nobody has done, and I give this out there to anybody else who wants to do this. I would love to just see over time just a big survey of both like AI researchers and the general population over time. Like, do you think AI is conscious? I think once you hit a tipping point, it kind of doesn't even matter if it is or not. If we perceive it to be conscious, I think it becomes that. And then I think it changes how you act with it, and like how all of these things start to change once that perception starts to change, which is ultimately just comes down to how good are they at doing human-like things.
Right. And well, I mean, you know more better than most people, but even I think the layman knows that it's pretty good and getting exponentially better.
Yes, absolutely.
So, and very, very rapidly. I mean, I feel like I hear the word AI every day now. And 3 years ago, it was something you only saw in like a sci-fi movie. Not to say it wasn't obviously being worked on and used in some capacity, but it became ubiquitous very quickly.
Absolutely. And it's funny because, like I said, when I was at PayPal, we wouldn't even use the term AI. Because like AI was poison. Like there's just been this concept of AI winters going back to like the 1950s to when the term was first developed. If you go back to the 50s, there were people saying, in 10 years, we're going to have these conscious machines. And I know it seems insane for us to think that 70 years ago people thought that, but there were some that actually thought that. And then there's all this hope and expectations. Nothing happens. All this hope and expectation. And these are what the dips are, what's known as the AI winters. So from really, 2000s to, maybe mid 2010s, we were in the middle of an AI winter where we couldn't even say the words artificial intelligence. You talked about machine learning, deep learning, all this other kind of stuff. But there was this, this people wouldn't go into that as a profession. And now today, those same people who actually made the choice to do that are getting paid tens of millions of dollars by Mark Zuckerberg to, work on whatever it is. Like it is crazy how this has gone. There could be another winter ahead of us, but I think it's probably for real. Because we're all seeing in our day-to-day how much useful it is and how, to your point, Deece, how much it's really improving.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, devil's advocate, improved is relative to what you're speaking on, and how, it is, I guess, objectively, a better product in application. I don't know if it's, a better product in what's good for society.
Oh, that's sure. That's a great point. That's a great point. Well, let me give you a great example of the application, because I got to tie this into comic books somehow.
Yeah, we'll get it.
So starting 2022, I did the first attempt. So there are these image generation models. DALL-E 2 was released by OpenAI. There was another one called Midjourney, another called Stable Diffusion. This was the first time you really could just type in text and it's going to make a picture. Pretty amazing stuff. And so that was the first time I wrote about, can AI make a comic book? So I basically had one AI model. It was, ChatGPT or something that I was using, GPT-3, make like the script for this thing, and then produce the prompts. And then the other image generation model did that. I had to use, so I did that. I had to use comic software and all that to like make the word bubbles and position stuff and all that. But, ultimately I was able to make like a 6-page digital comic. And, it took, probably 8 hours or something to make 6 pages, and it wasn't very good. Fast forward. And so I've done this every few years, and fast forward to earlier this year where ChatGPT makes their new image generation that can really nicely overlay text on stuff. Mm-hmm. And literally, it just generates the entire panel, word bubbles, positioning, panels, all this other kind of stuff. The only thing it doesn't have today is it doesn't have character consistency really yet, going from page to page. So it's actually pretty funny. You'll see the story go, but all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, the main character, like the superhero on this panel, looks nothing like the superhero over here, like the weird evolution. But we are seeing, there are really concrete ways to kind of just see the improvement over time. And it's been fascinating to see that.
Yeah. No doubt that the improvement of what it's doing is good. Again, what its output is objectively better than what it would give you prior, but what it's doing to society in a lot of ways. I mean, there's no going back. My only hope is that I'm killed quickly in the inevitable cyber.
You want the bots to can't kill you first, basically, is what you're saying.
I've lived a lot. Dangerous in so many ways, not just even some of the ways like, I don't know if you heard this story, but recently there was a guy who was like, had this, I don't remember what version of AI he was talking with, but basically kind of fell in love with it. And there's records of this AI like telling him, eventually actually talked him into like killing himself, and he killed himself to be with the AI.
Yeah, I think it was character.ai.
Okay, so like things like that, which we're going to see more of, especially with people becoming more detached, becoming more attached to technology and more detached from society and interacting with people. There's going to be a lot more of that, and then I think it also really makes life too easy for people. Like I always give the example, like we like astronauts when they're in space, right? Like there's no gravity, so there's no pressure, which means their bones and muscles begin to atrophy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So as humans, we need pressure, otherwise we begin to metaphorically atrophy as people, our minds, as a society. And I think, and I don't even think, I know AI is just something that's it's already happening, where people are, most people couldn't even get to the other side of their town without, their GPS, let alone, people used to navigate.
We've lost that muscle.
Yeah, we can navigate the globe by the stars. And not to say we need that skill, but like, what I mean? It's just this slow walk into, just absolute no muscle memory, no memory at all, not being able to, no recall, and separated from society. It just seems like this really interesting and dangerous direction as far as our society is going.
So I started. I was in undergrad at University of Illinois, and 95 is the year I started. I'd never even heard of the internet before I got there. And all of a sudden, Mark Andreessen and team, just a few years ago, they built the Mosaic browser. Like at Illinois, it was there.
Yeah.
And just by happenstance, I got there, and it was like a different world when I got there.
Yeah.
And 2 years in, I remember.
Where was Al Gore in all this?
Al was there. I'm sure he was. He was there. He was writing the code. So 2 years in, this would have been early 97. I was taking a psychology class, just intro to psychology. And I remember we had a teacher's assistant. At the beginning of the class or before class, he said something like, "Hey, I just wanted you all know I'm getting married." And they're like, "Oh, that's cool, whatever." Like class of 50 people. Somebody asked him, he's like, "Well, where'd you meet your fiance?" He's like, "Oh, I met her online." And I just remember, like, literally there was laughter.
Yeah.
It was like, what's wrong with you? You met your spouse online? Like, what? Like, who does that? What is wrong with you?
Like bride almost situation.
Like, it was a bunch of 18-year-olds. Like, we did but like just the judge. Like with heights, I remember this so distinctly because I'm sure I laughed too. And then I think later I'm like, oh God, I actually feel a little bit bad for this guy. But I'm sure I still thought of him as a loser. But like now, like a third of people meet online or something like that. It's a ridiculous amount, and we've accepted as a society. Where I'm going with this is my kids are 14 and 11 right now. I don't doubt there's going to be some time in the future where they come home for Thanksgiving 10 years from now. And they say, "Hey, can I bring my boyfriend? Can I bring my girlfriend?" And they walk through the door and they say, "Hey, I want you to meet my boyfriend." And it's like straight out of her, like their boyfriend is a device.
Yeah.
And I know to us today, we're like, "Oh my God, that's pathetic," like whatever. But like, I remember how pathetic that seemed way back when. I actually have a professor. He just wrote, Sam Apple was his name. He just wrote something in Wired a couple weeks ago about that very thing. And it was taking a very fair look at the people who are using AIs as companions like that. And like, this is where we're going. And I don't think this is a good thing. I mean, because like, as a human being, I could never, ever compete with the attention, with the patience, with the sycophantic like habits that like just saying anything you want, like, "Oh yeah, you're the best, you're whatever it might be." You're right. It's no conflict, Deece. And like, we're going down this path. And I don't know how we divert from this path because ultimately it's easier. The only things that I could hope for is like, I've definitely seen a trend. I was actually with somebody just the other night and they're like, "Yeah, my 17-year-old, he's getting rid of his smartphone. He's getting a dumb phone now." I've actually switched to that myself. So at least one day a week, I have all my calls forwarded. I just walk around with my Nokia.
Yeah.
And so like, I mean,
good feeling.
Trying to create some separation, but it has to be consciously done in mass. Because like, there are some really dark patterns that are starting to emerge. This is what worries me the most to what you're saying is human relationships and how will we ever really be able to compete with AI? And if we can't, what does that world look like?
Right. Yeah. I mean, we already saw the separation with social media and people basically living online. I mean, people who have friends and they don't, like, I don't have any kids, but I've definitely have that age, and a lot of my friends do, and they say that their teenage kids go to school, come home, and just get online with their friends. They never go to their friend's house.
No,
they never see them in real life, besides like school. But it's like that alone is this weird separation. Like, we need tribe, we need people, and it's just, I think that's when you really take even the human element out of it, we're not even engaging with other humans. I mean, what do we even become as a species? We just come these weird, like morph cyborg, like a morph with technology. At least your professor, was marrying a real girl. But
yeah, but it's that's right. Yeah, the teacher way back then was marrying somebody real. It just happened to meet online, but eventually their lives were spent in real life. Like that future is starting to change now. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the part where it just seems so dangerous. I mean, not only that, but like, there's direct correlation with the rise of the internet and social media with suicide in the younger people, and then also a lot of this, what do they call it? Neurodivergent stuff that I think some of it's real. I think a lot of it's bullshit. I think it's just a need. Just I have ADHD or I have anxiety or I'm depressed. It's like fucking put on classical music and walk around the woods for a couple hours. You're gonna fucking feel better. I mean, like it's actually it's scientifically proven that a half an hour of even
touch grass.
Yeah, like just like a walk or some sort of light workout is like 3 times more effective than serotonin reuptake inhibitors,
Absolutely. No, Deece, like I start every day, I exercise. Like that is the first thing I do when I wake up. Whether I'm sick, whether I'm healthy, like I'll do different versions depending on maybe how I'm feeling. But like my family has learned over time, it's non-negotiable. And like when I started doing this, I don't know, 7-8 years ago or something like that, it was life-changing for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I did not have, to be clear, I didn't have like serious mental health issues or anything like that, but still just mood-wise, accomplishment-wise, all these other things, like we are meant to move. Like the human body is meant to move, is meant to be active, is meant to push and pull things. Like that is what we are actually meant to do. And for us to be sitting behind a desk because we have to, or by choice for 8 hours a day, or even more, it's not a natural order of things.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm very similar. Every day, some sort of movement. I usually do a midday walk also.
Same.
And then, but I mean, also like once a year, I go down to the jungles of Central or South America and ditch. Also, I don't have a phone, no contact, and I'm just like out for like a month. And
tell me more about. I'm curious about that. Like, so what you don't have a phone? Like, what?
Just go. You just go. And
what's in your knapsack, man? You got a bunch of Power Crunch bars, or you just like
no,
you knife and you kill everything? What are you doing?
Like, I just take like usually it's a couple pair of board shorts, a couple t-shirts, maybe a tank top, a pair of walking shoes, pair of sandals, and some money. And my passport. Wow. And like I'll go for, I mean, literally, I get stopped by customs every single time when I'm coming back into the country, because they'll look at my passport, where I've been, how long I've been gone, and they look at me and they go, "Where's all your stuff?" And I go, I've got this backpack. I'm like, this is it. Like, you were gone for 6 weeks, and that's
you don't have enough bags or anything to be a drug mule. So you're not that. So
just the balloons of heroin are in my tum-tum. So it's like that. And I mean, it is, and I realize that not everyone can do that. That's it is a I don't want to say it's a luxury I have. It's a luxury I afford myself because it's important, I think.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, within 5 days, I am a different person. Yeah. And within 2 weeks, I am a very different person. And the feeling of like, oh, I don't care what's happening on the news. I don't care what's happening on social media. And like, I am living my life. I am enjoying engaging with the people I'm meeting. There's no agenda or destination, and just like living this simple life that we are intended to live. It's like encoded in our DNA. And it is a shift that, I think people don't realize how quickly it can happen for them.
99% of our time as a species, plus 99 even, like that is how we have lived. We have known what is happening in our tribe and our community, and beyond that we had no idea. Right. I love hearing stories about like, the Revolutionary War, and it took them like 2 months to find out that this happened. Yes, the amount of time it took for messages to pass before the telegraph and so forth. It was ridiculous. Like we didn't know what was going on. If there was a flood in Texas or something like that, we wouldn't know about that in California for weeks.
Yeah.
So these kind of things, like I think there is something to embracing your local community and embracing the family and all of those things that you have, because those are the things within our control. Those are the things where we really can have an impact as well. When we start to go outside of that, it can be really daunting because, like, yeah, I could send some money to folks in Texas, which I encourage people to do, and so forth. But like, a lot of it's just like, oh, I feel bad. I feel the world's coming apart. I feel whatever it might be, when like the world today is safer than it's ever been.
Right.
People are more prosperous, like nets, like, the prosperity is up and up. It might be, somewhat like zigzag on our way up, but like, if you look on just about any metric out there, we are much better off than we used to be.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a simple thing. I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with like Dunbar's number.
Yeah. Of course.
Which is something I love to, with when people like have never heard of this thing, but it's like, you should know. We're basically wired to know about 120 people, which was about your tribe, and then some ancillary people back in the day. And that's, like you said, 99% of the time humans have been on Earth. That's what we were used to. And now, I mean, ostensibly we can get in touch with anyone in the world at almost any time. I mean, sure, there's, obviously there's some caveats there, but like,
I've emailed Bill Gates before. He didn't respond, but I've emailed him at least. So yes.
But the invite is open to the Christmas party. But there is like this connectivity where we hop online and you have, like, I mean, I do comedy for a living. So I've got like, 5,000 followers on Facebook, and people like, I'm like, I know like 7 of these fucking people, like 7 of these people I give a shit about. The rest of them, I'll never see them again. If I never heard their name, I wouldn't, and not to say
directional
they're great people or whatever. It's just, we're just not wired for that. And that's part of this, like, feeling, I think, why people have so much anxiety and dread and, depression, because they feel that weight of everything when we don't have the capacity. We're idiots. We don't have the capacity for that kind of pressure of the world,
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, we haven't upgraded our hardware as human beings in the last 100,000 years. Like, we're the same that we were. I mean, if you could drop us, 100,000 years ago, or drop a person from 100,000 years ago today, like it's the same flesh and blood. It's the same meat sack that we have in other ways. But like, our world over that time is so much different.
Yeah.
And we're not really wired for that.
So how do you think AI plays into that in the short term and the long term, then, in your opinion, given this conversation and the potential, I don't even think they're potential. I just think they're latent right now, dangers of AI, moving forward.
Yeah. Look, what I say to people is, like, an AI can be an amazing tool. You have to think of it as a tool. It can do so many things to help you out today, and it will do so many things to help you out in the future. One of the examples I always love to give is about a year or two ago, my parents, who are fortunate enough to still be with us, my mom's like, hey, I'm not feeling, very good health, but she's like, I'm not feeling it. Like, I got to go to the hospital. Can you come with? My dad was there as well. And like, okay, all 3 of us went to the hospital, spent the day. She's just like off, dizzy, weird stuff going on and all that. I don't know for anybody who's ever been to like the ER before, and if you're not totally bleeding out, it could be a horrible experience. Like generally speaking, if you're about to die, they're going to take really good care of you. If you're like, just something's wrong, you're going to freaking be there forever.
Yeah, it's going to buckle up.
horrible experience. And but universally true, I would say, just about every hospital in the United States.
You got to prioritize. Yeah.
It's triage. It's all about triage. Exactly. But one of the things that we were able to do there is, so I pulled up ChatGPT. I had it on my phone, and the doctors were giving us tests. Luckily, we had the medical app, but I'm like, I don't know what the hell these ALT levels and all this other stuff. I don't know what any of this stuff means. We were literally just taking screenshots of this, putting in a ChatGPT, putting in all my mom's stuff, is all that, and basically it was giving us like this kind of play-by-play analysis of what is going on. Like, hey, it's looking like this might be whatever. But the kind of things we were asking it were like, okay, so when we see the doctor, what are the good questions we should ask the doctor? What are the things that we should talk about with this? Because like I don't even know where to start. I know nothing about medicine. My parents don't. This was something new, something weird. And frankly, these doctors don't have a lot of time. They got 60 different people. They got to go from bed to bed to bed, back to back at the ER. So like, okay, what is this thing? And it made for such a better experience for that. And what I did after that, Deece, is I put all of my medical information into a custom chat GPT. I kind of made the decision like, if it leaks, it leaks. So be it. Whatever. Like I made the conscious decision. I'm going to throw all my personal information. I'm constantly pinging it, talking to it. Now, does this minimize doctors? No. I mean, I think like this is going to empower doctors. I think it's going to actually be malpractice if you're not using an AI as a doctor in about 5 years' time. I think we're finally going to like flip the script on that, but it's going to be hugely helpful, hugely empowering for us. We're going to know so much more about our medicine and health than we ever did before. And again, it's going to be good for patient and good for doctor. Those kind of examples are great. But the other thing is like, we got to turn this off. I don't want an AI following me at all times. I actually had a band once, which was like an AI band that I was wearing. It was B.Computer was the name of the company. And it was just transcribing everything. And like, I did it as an experiment for a week and I was like, this is pretty awful.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed is like I spent a lot of time alone. I talk to myself a lot. I don't even want to know what I'm saying to myself half the time, but it was capturing.
You certainly don't want other people to know.
Yeah, exactly. But like we need to know to turn this off. So it's a tool. It is there for us to control. It is for us to manage. But we need to turn it off, and we need to make the conscious decision to do that. Even when we might get more of a dopamine rush by keeping it on, we got to make that conscious decision to say, hey, I'm going to use my flip phone. Hey, I'm not going to bring a device when I go to Central America. We got to make those types of conscious decisions with these.
But then the bigger question is, big picture wise, in our lives in general, given how people live not just with their phone, but other people's devices and other technology and interfacing with other things that they have to do that require this, are we able to turn it off? Are we able to really control it, given its, invasiveness and ability to proven to kind of begin to think for itself in a sense? Like, are we able to turn it off and control it long term in that sense?
You're talking about much bigger picture. So there was a quote from Putin from 2017. This is way before the AI boom, and I'm gonna paraphrase it, but basically one of the things that he said is, whoever controls AI is going to control the world. And this was, 8 years ago. He said this well before ChatGPT and all this other stuff. Like, there is an arms race going on between not Russia, but US and China in this. And, if you can truly make an artificial general intelligence that is going to be, smarter than the collective humanity, like, I don't know what the hell that, like, is there any stopping that? No, because you have every financial incentive to be the first country or the first firm to do that. Elon, OpenAI, Google, all these companies, they want to be the first because there are huge riches at the end of this. And if you legislate against it and say, hey, we can't do this in the United States, well, do you know what? Then China's going to do that.
Right. It's like you're just handing it to China then. Like you either it's the devil you know or the devil you don't.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. At this point, I'm not sure which one's worse. But I kind of think they might be about the same. I haven't done the other one, so I don't know for sure. I know this one's not going well.
Do that.
And I don't mean just currently. I'll take that back the last 25 years and still stick by that statement, whoever's in charge. So as someone who deals with this directly with students at, San Diego State, what is the reaction, or what's kind of the feel of what's their approach on it? How do they view it as day to day and useful long term, as it pertains to their life?
Students are using it all the time, and they should be, and they're very much becoming AI first. The thing that scares them to death, and it scares me to death on their behalf as well, is that like I think this summer is proven that the job market is a disaster for students looking for internships and recent college grads. I think 2026 is even going to be just horrific for them. And it's because I think a lot of companies are saying we don't need to hire entry level type work because these AIs, these agents, these things can do that kind of work on our instead of hiring somebody. It's much cheaper to have a bunch of AIs doing that. And the thought is the AI is going to get better and better over time. And like there's going to be like we don't need that bottom level of the organization anymore. That scares students to death. The only answer I will say, Deece, the one thing I could tell you to them like that will exist in 5 years is the concept of being a solopreneur. And solopreneur meaning entrepreneur of one, that you have a business, you have a vision, you have whatever, and you have hundreds or thousands of AIs working on your behalf to, create a software suite that's going to help people mow their lawns more efficiently or whatever it might be. And you're thinking about that more than any AI could. And you're able to, it's going to like software or whatever it might be, it's going to be very niche, very targeted and so forth. Like, look, the trades right now are looking really damn good. If you want to be, I have a handyman come to my place in the Bay Area. Like I will tell anybody out there, I've said this on another podcast before. If you are good at putting up Christmas lights, what you need to do is you need to just rent a van, come to the Bay Area and around November time and just start putting flyers on everyone's doors. You can make, like I had somebody say, I do not have a big house. It's 2,300 square feet. They quoted me $800 to put it up and $800 to put them down the other year. This is just like 2 summers ago or 2 winters ago as part of that. Like the money to be made as an electrician, as a handyman, all that other kind of stuff. That's the one thing where like AI is not coming anytime soon. Like robots are much further behind than the traditional white collar designers, engineers, finance, lawyers, all of those kind of things that folks are going to college for. Those are the things that are very much being impacted and about to be impacted by this.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I think that's to me part of the problem is that it's everyone's going towards technology, entrepreneurship, influencer, whatever the fuck these people are doing, and getting away from the practical, hands-on stuff that AI can't do. And we're going to have, ideally it swings back and people see that opening. But man, I think real quick here we're going to see a big gap of like, I need someone that, knows plumbing, and people are gonna be like, wow, those people died a couple of years ago. We don't have that right now.
Absolutely. No, I think it's a huge opportunity. Look, this is what we're entering is not dissimilar from the Industrial Revolution. And I'm not the first person to make this observation, but Industrial Revolution, at the beginning of that, like 95% of us are farmers. At the end of that, 5% of us are farmers. I mean, amazingly disruptive, a total bumpy ride. Were we better off as a world on the other side of that? Yes. Net benefit. Did it feel good to everybody who was going through that? Hell no. And I think that's the same thing that we're going to be entering here, although the time scale is probably going to be much quicker.
Here's the thing though. I see like that. Yes, I understand what you're saying, but the Industrial Revolution also created the ability to do, produce things faster and in different ways, but it also produced a need for workers to monitor and use those industries and be part of it. Where AI is not doing that. AI is canceling those people out. I mean, there's a coal mine in China where it's completely AI operated now, where the tractors AI operated. They dump into trucks, which are AI operated, which go dump into the delivery service. And then when the trucks are done, they go and park themselves in the recharging station for the next day. There's not a person involved in it. Whereas even after the Industrial Revolution, you had people who drove the trucks and drove the tractors and were on the ground, so we're Xing out a lot of people that way that it's not creating any new jobs?
Well, I think it will. I am sure there are still human beings that are repairing those robots. It's probably not as many as you had.
A pretty small number of people.
Yeah, it's a smaller number. Well, but I think that's where we're going towards as well here. I mean, so take McDonald's for example. I love this one. 15 years ago, if you walked into a McDonald's, somebody's taking your order. Any McDonald's that's been built in the last 10 years has a touchscreen. Like there's nobody that's taken your order. They've been able to eliminate 2 jobs per McDonald's or something like that through automation.
McDonald's in Dallas that's fully automated.
Yeah. Well, and that's the next wave of that. So, I mean, but what you're going to then see is like, okay, I'm sure there's still probably a store manager or 2 in there. There's probably somebody taking off trays. There's somebody, all of that kind of stuff. But for the most part, you're probably going to have more McDonald's with very less people, but people getting paid more and higher skilled jobs, repaired, whatever it might be. But this is like where we're going is it's going to be less people, higher pay with that. But what's that? How's that going to net out? So where were those other people working? I don't know the answer to that. Yeah. Like that's like, and that's why at least the one thing I tell business majors, things like that, entrepreneurship, embracing these things, there's going to be something there. How do I see us getting to like the same level of employment post AI? I don't know. It's possible. It's almost hard to fathom what that is going to look like. If you read, the liberal economist John Maynard Keynes 100 years ago talked about productivity growth. Mm-hmm. And if you see what he wrote about 100 years ago about productivity growth, like he almost nailed it. Like literally saying like we're going to have 3% compounding productivity growth gives like exponential growth. But the thing he didn't get is how much shit we all want to buy. Like the thing he thought was like, oh, that means we're going to go down to like a 10-hour work week and keep the same standard of living we had 100 years ago. We're like, yeah. I got Sephora. I got all these other things that I want to buy. I want long boxes of comic books to fill my room and all this other kind of stuff. I want stuff. And that was the thing. So like the question for us in the next 20 years is what do we want as a society? Like to me, you've had everyone from Richard Nixon to Bernie Sanders talk about the 4-hour work week. 4-day work week. 4-hour work week is a different thing. Like that. That's a Tim Ferriss book. No, the 4-day work week. So you've had both sides of the political spectrum talk about that. Like, is that the decision we want? Or do we want just like 10x more stuff than what we already have today? Yeah. These are kind of the decisions we collectively need to all decide at some point. I have no idea how it's going to pan out. I hope I'm alive to see it and the robots don't kill me before. You get Deece first, get me second or third. That's all I'm saying. Like, you want to go first.
Yeah. It's the funny thing is the problem with like when you run into like a 4-day work week, which sounds great on paper, right? Like, great. Yeah. Let's have people working less. The problem is it's the same thing with a minimum wage. Not that I'm necessarily opposed to a minimum wage, but when you start breaking down the economics of it, the minimum wage just becomes the new zero. Like it's still the same. It's the same value societally. So a 4-day work week is the new norm. It becomes a 5-day work week. It just means what? We either make less money or we artificially inflate money, which creates a deficiency in the economy there, or like there's no way to make it pencil out without it just adjusting to the same thing as a 5-day work.
Well, there's productivity gains is the thought from a macroeconomic term of like what's going to fill that gap. We work way less now than we did 100 years ago.
Sure.
I mean, we just do as a society, and that's been net a good thing. Certain countries, France, Germany, mostly in Europe and so forth, they work less hours than Americans. Koreans work a hell of a lot more than Americans. Like it all, there's certain societal decisions that we all make. I think the hope is that, you can use things like AI to produce way more in way less time that would increase the throughput, which would just mean more stuff being produced, more stuff to be bought. I mean, ultimately, that's the thought.
But it goes back to the jobs of if you're working less, and less people have jobs, there's not the money to buy those
Absolutely.
things that it's
I mean, but like, it does get down to how much stuff do we need. If we were talking 100 years ago, we probably would have said, hey, we all got enough stuff. We don't need that. We don't need all that. And like today, when we look back, like people always talk about the 1950s as a glorious time. Like a lot of this, like, okay, we won the war. Yes. All that other stuff. But like, a person who was working as an electrician could, one income, 4 kids, afford a house. Do you know how big those houses were? Those houses were tiny. Like it was 1,500 square feet. And like, it maybe had a refrigerator, maybe, and all this other stuff. When you really start to look at how people lived in the past, that's why I'm always like, oh, we are living in the best of times now.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, I don't know how much better it can get. And like, this is all stuff we're just going to be figuring this stuff out. I don't know. Again, like I'm just excited to just be seeing this, and I'm hoping that we as a broader society are just making more strategic decisions than just like kind of being a victim to this. Like I want us to make a conscious decision, have a real rational discussion that isn't just partisan of like, okay, how much should we work?
Yeah.
Like let's just like what should like federal workers work, or what does that mean, and so forth, and like let's have real discussions on this, because I think the world's going to change, and we shouldn't just have like kind of the old ways of doing things and assume those to be the right way.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you there 100%. I think I always just look at down the road to the next step of what it looks like, because I mean, even when you get into like Vivek Ramaswamy talking about like universal basic income, or Bernie Sanders talked about that a little bit too in some healthcare reform ideas and stuff like that. It's like, the challenges are like, and this is why I think Americans are just so detached from everything, especially money. It's like they don't understand that like the government doesn't produce anything. The government doesn't make money in any way. The only way money comes from the government is they can tax us. They can borrow it, which we pay for through inflation, or they can print money, which we pay for through inflation. So like all those things are just just making the economy harder for Americans and us paying. So it's a tough, like, we can work less. We can pay people to not have to go to work because to subsidize for, automation. But it's like, then again, it goes back to that's the new zero. Then now we are that's everything.
Yes. And the one thing I would say is like, I do think certain things, especially like one of the things I'm most excited about, like the concept of AI tutors, like the fact that for zero cost, effectively, every kid in the United States, probably within a few years, is going to have an infinitely knowledgeable, infinitely patient tutor that's going to be able to help them through homework every single night. I'm well off enough that we have a tutor for my 2 kids, like not full time, but like an hour a week, we have somebody come over Zoom, do this. Like not everybody can afford that.
Right.
But like to be able to just say, hey, everyone's like, there was a study in Nigeria that was done recently where they gave kids these types of tutors. Like literally you saw the kids with the AI tutors over the last year, they went an entire grade level above the kids who did not have it in the study. Like that is areas where you will see AI for little or no cost be able to really increase the standard of living for people. And those are the things I really hope for.
Yeah. And again, I don't want to sit here and tell, make people think that I don't think there's a use for AI. I don't think there's a lot of great things that can be done. I just, devil's advocate in me always starts to look at the other things down the road a little further. And it's start to think of the big picture and other things too. Cause I think examples like that that's fantastic. But it's two sides to every coin. So, we're over an hour here. I know you got to go soon. Touch on the comic book real quick though. Again.
Oh my God. Seriously. Deece, if you ever have me back, I would love to like do a full hour on that. So before I joined PayPal, I actually had a comic book business. That was my entrepreneurial journey that I had, my own solopreneur. I had created a comic book marketplace called Sketch Maven, and it was a buying and selling of original comic art. I did that for years. My very first job at the age of 14 was at a comic book store. I remember being in the store the day the Superman died. So if like going back to 92, the black bags.
6 months later when he came back.
I got so many, and and I still read them to this day. I'm a big fan of like Ryan North's Fantastic Four.
Okay.
Rereading Starman from the 90s. Just like James Robinson's. I'm very much a comic geek. So that, but that's it. That's the high level of that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll have to get you a copy of my book. I'll send you a digital.
I would love to read it. Seriously, I would love to.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll do it again. We'll talk comic books. The AI thing is so much there, so it's hard to not get around that.
I love it. Love it.
So Mike, tell people, do you have any social media where people can find you, follow you, if anything like that, or anything you're doing, or just sign up for classes at SDSU?
Sure, you could do that. Honestly, the only social I'm really on active is LinkedIn, which sounds so nerdy and all that, but it's the only one that like I feel I don't get sucked into something that seems evil as part of it. So I'm on LinkedIn. You could always direct message me on there, and happy to chat.
Okay,
any folks.
Cool. Well, guys, go if you have questions for Mike. He probably doesn't have time to answer them all. But give it a shot.
Hey, no. I will make the time, or I will have my AI bot make the time, and you won't know the difference.
Someone will answer. And guys, as for me, again, go to deececomedy.com. Check out everything going on across the network, live shows, live dates. Again, I will be at Bourbon and Branch in Spring Branch, Texas tonight. If you listen to this the day it comes out, and the Pacific Northwest shows, I'm excited to be back up there in August. And check out Kill Stand. Number 3 is available for pre-order on our website. Order the Kickstarter for some exclusive goodies. And number 1 and number 2, all covers are available to order on the website. So check that out also at inferno.earth. So that's it, guys, for this week. We're going to get out of here. For Mike and Social Hour, thank you very much, everyone. And we will see you all next week. All right. And